Good afternoon again. Digital Health Day at Columbia University. Welcome back to the 9th annual HITLAB Innovators Summit here in Lerner Hall. We are really excited to have our next panel talk about digital health's adoption rate and digital technology adoption rates around the world. We have a highly diverse panel here from not just New York, but from Argentina, Latin America, and other parts of the globe to talk about the adoption rate of digital health technologies in different urban communities. So with that, please welcome a panel that'll be moderated by Dr. Sara Chokshi, Director of Research at HITLAB. Please welcome them.
Wonderful. Thanks everyone for joining us as we start to finish off the afternoon today. I'm super lucky to get to be part of this conversation with Peter, Francisco, and Michael. Today we're going to talk a little bit about fragmentation in the system and access. We're going to unpack access a little bit and talk about a little bit more specifically about what solutions are out there to solve specific problems that stop some people from seeking care and getting care. So that's our topic for today. But I'd love to just start off and have everyone hear a little bit about who you are. Peter, would you like to start us off?
Sure. Hi, my name is Peter Niemi, and I'm with Recovery Plus. That's recoveryplus.health. Company that owns recoveryplus.com wanted $500,000 for the domain, so it's recoveryplus.health. We are a home-based cardiac rehabilitation, virtual cardiac rehabilitation company.
Okay, thank you. My name is Francisco Primero Narvaez. I know it's a mouthful in Spanish and in English, but I am from Buenos Aires, Argentina, and I am the founder and director of Axon Digital Health, which is a consultancy company that helps healthcare companies deliver in the technological environment. And I am founder of Catalysia as well, which is a company that uses artificial intelligence to help patient adherence.
Great. Hi, everybody. My name is Mike Norsen. I work for a company called Alexandria Real Estate Equities, which is the largest owner and operator of life science real estate in the country. And specifically, I work for our venture capital arm. We have a corporate venture capital arm that invests in early stage biotech and healthcare companies. We've been given the honor of being for the seventh year in a row, being the most active life science VC in the country. And we also have an early stage platform called Launch Labs that we work with early, seed and Series A stage companies to help them get started in their early kind of formative years. And we have these Launch Labs platforms all across the country. And specifically here in New York, we have two, and one is up on the University Medical Center campus here at Columbia.
Awesome, great. And for those of you I didn't meet this morning, I'm Sara Chokshi, Director of Research here at HITLAB. So access. We have already this morning talked a lot about issues of access, equity. What do we mean by access? Can we talk a little bit more specifically about what are the challenges with regard to access that we see? Peter.
Sure. So being in the cardiac rehab space, we are kind of in a niche of the healthcare market. And there are huge problems with access. Cardiac rehab is only used by about 20% of the people who it's recommended should be in a program such as ours. This is despite the fact that it is known to reduce hospitalization rates from about a 25% risk to ours at the last survey we did was about 2.1%. So it's a big reduction. There's a big motivation to do it, but compliance is terrible. And there are a bunch of issues that are they're similar to the broader issues of access. With us, it's distance. That's the biggest one. There are not enough rehab centers in the country to service all of the need. That's why we created this company in the first place. For example, one of our partners is up in Dumas, Texas, where there are 3 cardiac rehab centers in an area that's about the size of Maine. So it's just not realistic that you're going to be able to go to repetitive treatments. The other thing that we face that I'm sure is common to most of you is inertia. Our patients are not people who are excited to get back to the gym and work out and lose 10 pounds. They're scared. They're worried that they'll have an adverse event. They're worried about going to treatment. So between distance, inertia, and the need to go to repetitive treatments, the access to care is really kind of heightened in the cardiac rehab field.
Awesome. Anyone else want to tackle that a little bit?
Yeah, sure, happy to. So on the venture investment side, we've seen a lot of companies at their earliest stages being very focused on integrating data. So we heard about that from the past two panels. So we're very focused on supporting companies that are integrating all kinds of data, different genomic data sets, different EHR platforms, and the ability to integrate and mine that data to get really meaningful insights. And that can range from everything from early stage drug targets all the way to stratifying patients for clinical trials, but then also for stratifying patients for actually prescribing therapeutics that are actually going to work. And then taking all that information and putting that into kind of your drug development paradigm to continue to develop those drugs. And I think it's just not enough to develop them, but how are physicians being able to integrate that data and real time understand where a piece of information or piece of data that a patient might have in their medical records and their genomic records, and being able to use that to actually, what I would say, kind of really codify the idea of personalized medicine and bringing those therapeutics to the right patient at the right time. I think we have so many different data sets that are very fragmented, as we talked about earlier, that are on different platforms, and the ability to aggregate those, mine them, and come up with meaningful insights, whether that be in an oncology HR, for a cancer doctor to really have a meaningful, insight from a set of data. I think that's really where a lot of our efforts should be focused. It's what we're looking for in terms of companies that we're seeding.
Okay, so it sounds like, kind of a theme I've noticed all along is, the technology is there. It's about now how to get it to the right people at the right time in the right place. I think we're platforms like Recovery Plus, and a lot of the telemedicine solutions we've been talking about are super helpful for things like distance, right? Or physical challenges. Because I was thinking, we were laughing earlier because our title for the session today has roamed a little bit. When we were first talking about the session, we were talking about fragmentation. And I know Stan also brought in this idea of rural versus urban. So, can we take what we've talked about here, these issues of access, and talk about that dichotomy a little bit, and how is access different for urban populations versus rural populations? Peter, you were talking about, a platform like ours is great for specialist shortages, right? There's just not enough physicians to go around, so we offer a platform. So we don't need physical proximity to see patients. But again, we see even in urban spaces like New York City, where everybody's, I could walk to a cardiologist right now or a rehab facility. Doesn't mean I'm going to do that. What else is going on?
Sure. So short answer, and absolutely. And I live in the city too, so
Yeah.
I'm one of those people who has the access, and that's really what we set about doing. This is, of course, much more profound in rural areas. It's also more profound with lower income individuals. So that's the solution we've created. The reality is that you talked about physician shortage. You'd have to have 5 times as many clinics in the US to treat all of the patients. That's just not realistic. That's not going to happen. So we have built a distributed platform that is a virtual platform. And then getting over that inertia, this is not some asynchronous exercise on your own. You are connected with an exercise physiologist who's reassuring you as you go. You're wearing a heart rate monitor that everything is okay. And if it hurts, then we dial it back, and once you get stronger. So yeah, we've that's exactly it. We've kind of methodically gone after what are these barriers to care. And that's what we do every day, is work on figuring them out and coming up with a solution.
Yeah. In my perspective, I come from Buenos Aires, which is a huge city. It's really big. And we Argentinians say that God is everywhere, but he has his office in Buenos Aires. So the thing is, you've been there and you know why. But the thing is, we have seen, and it's a common thing, to have people come from all around our country to Buenos Aires to have a doctor's visit, because the best of the country are there. Thing is, that's been happening for a long time, but now you have technological tools that brings you the opportunity not to do that, to access to some other services and some quality service from a virtual perspective. So thing is, what I'm trying to say is that we should have a shift in the point of view, because you are catering people who had no solutions before. So that's really interesting. We are working on a program with a very large NGO in South America called Fundación Boom Hayborn for an endemic disease, which is called Chagas, which is from the north of South America, or the center of South America. And these people, had no access to doctors before the efforts that this ONG is doing. So the thing is, I would shift, this perspective and be grateful for what technology is bringing to these rural areas or these distant areas.
It's interesting the way you put it is similar, but a little bit different in the sense that you're kind of saying, like, we've been doing this. This isn't new. It's now just thinking about building the tools to make it easier.
Right.
So time flies. I just got the 1 minute. I would love to hear, Francisco,
Yep.
if you want to talk a little bit about things that you see from outside of healthcare
Yes.
that might help us deal with this access issue.
Yeah, I come
access
from
issue.
the technological world, and I got into healthcare. And I think that the key word or the keywords is, open ecosystems. Every technological breakthrough or every technological company that got, to thrive, they built open ecosystems. Take Apple, for example. Apple made it possible for app developers to, go through their, obviously, the very much controlled environment, but those ecosystems help people, adopt the technology, help people understand, help companies understand each other's. And it comes not only from the ambition of companies like Apple or Google or Tesla or whatnot, but also, from their humbleness in recognizing that they cannot do anything, everything, they don't do everything right. So they bring the tools for other companies, small or big, to, provide the services that they are not focused on.
Great. Partner. I love that. So just before we end, Michael, just because I know you see so many different startups in your work, any comments along the lines of what Francisco is saying in terms of who else is kind of dealing with access in a way that when you look at companies and think, who you think is going to be successful, what kinds of things do you look for?
Yeah, so access on clinical trials is something that's really important. We talked a little bit about that before. And the ability to use technological solutions to reach people, rural, urban, maybe people who have debilitating diseases that can't get access to a clinical trial, or maybe are in some sort of socioeconomic, area that just doesn't have access to knowing that those trials exist. We're seeing a lot of technology out there that are helping us access those folks. I think it's helpful for patients. It's also helpful for biotech and pharma companies to be able to be more expansive in their trials, and also be more inclusive to get better results, so we can get patients to or treatments to patients, more quickly. So we're seeing a lot of those, companies that are starting up, and I think that's going to be a good thing for everybody.
Great. So, well, that's all the time we have. Michael, Francisco, Peter, thank you so much.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.